Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to everybody to another Lunch and Learn. Today is slightly different because we've got a brand new business joining us today. So first of all, a big welcome to Donna.
Hello,
Hi, Donna.
hello. Hi.
So Donna Letley, Donna's, I say, literally just starting a brand new business called RDS Business Management. So really excited to have you on today, Donna. Thank you very much for joining us.
Me.
We're looking forward to actually hearing some more about what you've been up to in lockdown and about this exciting new business that you're launching.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm completely crazy or not, but it just seemed the right thing to do. So, I think with I think a lot of people in lockdown, I guess it's affected everyone differently, but it's given time to have a bit of reflection around what is good and not so good in your life potentially, and that obviously involves the working environment. So that, in a way, I guess there's a lot of good that's come from that, because I think there's lots of people that have taken a bit of a leap of faith off the back of what isn't a very nice situation, obviously, for anyone, which I guess is a good thing. There's got to be positives in everything. So
definitely,
I was one of those.
don't worry about being crazy. The best people are crazy, I found.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
exactly.
Definitely.
yeah, exactly that.
So with lockdown, have you sort of got any new, apart from starting a business, have you taken up any new hobbies or anything like that?
Not really, no. I'd love to say that I've decided to be a DIY expert, or, did some landscaping in the garden, did none of that. I've just kind of really focused on this, and it's been a really good time to do that, because I think to engage with key decision makers in any kind of business format is difficult when everyone is 100 miles an hour. So it's been really nice actually to use this time to reach out, to grow my network, to have some quite interesting conversations with some clients that have turned into friends, and friends that have turned into clients, because that tends to happen quite often, and get their kind of feel for what I'm doing, which has been really nice, and get a bit of advice from those people from a buyer's standpoint as well. So yeah, I really have just spent that time just focusing on this, which has kept me busy. So
yeah, I bet it has.
Which is good.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself, and tell us about your journey, perhaps up into starting the new business, and tell us how you actually sort of got there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a bit of a varied one. So I've got a bit of a strange background. That's probably not the right term, but very varied in terms of my working life. And I think the key part around this is, if I tell you about some of the things I've done, there's one thing that the synergy is there, and it's about them all being people-centric. So in everything I've done, I think since leaving college, there's always been a focus on kind of creating better outcomes for people. So for me, I mean, I go back, I've performed on stage overseas, I've worked as an entertainment rep and entertainment manager overseas, I've did a bit of cabin crew, worked in recruitment for a while. But if you can see all of those things there, the person is the focus. I mean, especially when you're working overseas, very front line. It's your fault that the sun's not out. So you have to find ways of dealing with people and obviously creating the better outcomes for people. So that's the way I've moved things across into the consultancy piece. I think that's something I pride myself on. So from a technology standpoint, I joined the technology world in 2005. Back in a print management role, working for a Xerox reseller. So kind of hit the ground running with that, because it was something I've not done before. There was a lot of self-education, but was pretty successful, and stayed in that organisation for about 6 years, where I learned a lot. At that time, there were lots of changes in the marketplace as well. So there was much more of a move towards software and solutions. So I was lucky to be a part of that transition, which was really good. And then kind of, every role I've been in thereafter has been in a solutions environment. So the good thing, and the reason I've taken this step now to do RDS, which by the way stands for Research Discovery Solution, is that it's about that. Obviously, everywhere I've worked, I've learned something and taken the best from each of those roles and each of those organisations. But obviously, if you're working for somebody, you're pushing their product set. It's what they ultimately want you to sell that is the main thing. So for me, I like that agnostic approach. So that was why I've taken the jump. I feel like I've got enough knowledge now and experience with lots of different solutions providers, and there's some really kind of different opportunities that I've worked on that have been great learning curves as well. So really for me, it's just about putting all of those skills that I've kind of learned over the years, where I've met and dealt with people of all different walks of life, and all of those great things I did in my younger years, and then mixing that with the experience and the knowledge that I've picked up through the technology world, through colleagues, friends, clients, over these last sort of 15, 16 years. And now just kind of putting all of that together to assist businesses to kind of move projects forward, saving them a bit of time, matching the right clients, the right supplier, and allowing them to kind of sharing best practice is the big thing as well. I think that's what I love to do, is sharing stories where I've helped someone to do something. Can I use that and replicate that to help someone else? So yeah, that's in a nutshell why I've done it and what I'm looking at doing.
There's a great skill set there. I mean, especially coming from like the hospitality industry, from like cabin crew, entertainments. There, if Thomas Cook, has it Thomas Cook you worked with cabin crew? Yeah, so it's a great skill set. I think that people that come up start in the hospitality industry and come through there, they really appreciate customer service. And we tend to be, my past hospitality, and we tend to be quite. We see all walks of life, like you say. We tend to see people at different times, especially running a hotel like I did. You tend to see them at different states during the evening, shall we say. So you get to know them pretty well in a short period of time. But I found it's really helped me, that real sort of extreme customer service there has really sort of helped me later on other business things, because basic customer service is really, it's ingrained in me, and it's all about customers, and that's what we're here for. So I think, for starting a business, it's a brilliant that was a brilliant grounding you had there, definitely.
Yeah, without doubt. And there were some great times as well, but I'll share those stories another time. I bet there was, yeah. Let's save that for after the watershed, I think.
So how did you get RDS Business Management started? What triggered you to start it? I mean, it's a difficult time to start a business, and not difficult. It's always difficult to start a business. There's never a right time. Obviously, going into lockdown. So yeah, how did that all get started? And sort of what are you actually sort of doing?
Yeah, okay. So prior to lockdown, I was working for an organisation in London that I still have a great relationship with, by the way, who actually are going to form part of my strategic partnership. But I think with an ever-changing world and that degree of uncertainty for everybody, rather than, it's almost kind of supporting one another. I know that I can still add value to my ex-employers through my skill set, and it's kind of taking that jump to say, look, there's a way that we can work together here that's not putting financial pressure potentially, and we're actually making these decisions for the right reasons and not just partnering because we kind of have to. So that sort of gave me the jump, and then I think from that I started to look at I was just before lockdown, I was very, very into my networking and did a lot of that, as I've mentioned to you, and you know that's the case as well. So through that, I started to meet lots of people that were running their own businesses, that were telling me about their journeys, and I thought, you know what, I reckon I could potentially do that. And that's really what gave me the jump. And in a nutshell, what we're looking at doing and the way I'm working as that trusted advisor that kind of is the glue that puts it all together. So if a client has a requirement, and whatever that requirement might look like, it can be something as basic as an office refit, let's say, for COVID preparation, anything like that, and they're not quite sure where to go. And you know what? Time is of the essence, and they really don't want to have 20 or 30 sales calls. Salespeople are great fun, obviously, but you just want to get it down to the nitty-gritty. So for me, it's very much about matching the right client to the right supplier. So the client can not rely on me as a trusted advisor. They can talk to me about something. It might even be, so I'll give you examples. I've got a client I'm working with at the moment, and it's all around the property world and servicing world, and they're looking at developing an app, developing a platform that they've always had on the back burner because it would take a lot of time for them to do that. But this has given them time to focus on that. And with the world moving to that online process a lot more, they've actually thought this could be a great time to definitely do it. So and he didn't know where to start. So he kind of came to me and said, look, I really want to do this. It's been going on for a long time. I know now's the right time, but I haven't got the time to trawl through X amount of suppliers, to look at the right kind of software platforms and providers. And also, because he's not particularly tech himself, everyone's there to sell their wares. So obviously every supplier you talk to will definitely tell you that their platform is the best platform. And that may be the case, but there can be a lot of time wasted, not just for the client, but for the supplier as well,
Yeah.
where they're kind of meeting stalemate at some stage.
I'm not sure. Sorry, Donna. I'm not sure if it's your microphone. It sounds really Dalek-y. I'm not sure if it's mine. Sounds Dalek-y as well.
No, I can't hear any Dalekness.
Strange.
Maybe
Sorry, interrupting. Carry on.
I don't. You don't to me.
Oh, that's all right then. Maybe it's just us. Well, maybe it's just me.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, interrupting you there.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So obviously, for me, it's just about that. It is about just pulling together the right client with the right supplier, which is obviously working quite well at the moment because I'm able to, through my strategic partners, introduce people to the right person to get the job done more quickly as well, and hopefully with the right endpoint solution. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. But yeah, it's a trusted advisor piece. That's the key bit for me, is that people feel they can come to me for advice around anything business related.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, software as well. I mean, I've been through it several times with different hotel operating softwares and now co-working software to actually make sure you get the right one and evaluate it. And it's very, very time consuming. And it took us 6 months for the hotel and 6 months for the co-working space, actually. And actually going in there and actually making sure it's the right one. It's like you say, salespeople will just try and sell you their product and tell you theirs are the best industry leaders. And they'll tell you it does something, especially I found it. They'll tell you it does something, but when you actually get down to the nitty gritty, it probably can do it, but it's pretty hard to make it actually do what you want it to do.
Or it might cost you a little bit more than you initially thought it might.
Oh yeah, there's a bolt on there to do it. Yes. So it's definitely worth sort of, so you can take the pain out of people's sort of.
Yeah, and it's all about, I mean, the discovery piece as well. I'm lucky that I've got a couple of kind of independent but very large global organisations that have an up and running already software platform that is really easy to build upon and create kind of bespoke solutions, which is fantastic. And it's unique to have. And they've never had what we refer to as feet on the street. They've never had a sales team. They've got a fantastic product. So it's great for them because partnering with me, it's kind of filled that gap, hopefully. And I'm able now to open some doors for them and allow them to take this fantastic product out to the right market and the right audience. So there's kind of stuff like that, but you're very right around, that's why the company is research discovery solution, because everyone can find a solution to a problem. That's not difficult. You don't do the research, you don't work on that discovery piece, it might not be the right one, or it might be the right one for today, but it's not going to be the right one maybe for 3 years' time, 5 years' time. So with my clients, it's very much about building that relationship where we're looking at the future, we're looking at where you are today, what's your strategy like, what's your vision like, where can we help to add value today that will also help you in the future without you having to spend ridiculous amounts of money, particularly in these times of downturn. It's difficult you've really got to show that value for people to want to part with any money at the moment. So there's got to be a strong return, as you know. So yes, it's a strong time, I think, for software. I think it's a great time because people have been forced, although it's not great necessarily, but I'll refer, and I don't mind saying it, the legal sector will be the first to admit that they're very much a lot of, not all of, set in their ways. The way they works. Because of what's happened, a few friends of mine that are actually practice managers and work in that sector have seen some really kind of positive changes where things are moving much more to technology, online, more remote document management systems and all those kind of things. They've realised that without having the overheads of having everyone travelling into an office, they can actually still bill a relatively decent amount of money even in an economic downturn. So it's all of that, and that's positive. That's a really good thing because there are some sectors in particular that are very difficult they just can't visualise that change. So a lot of what's happened in this last couple of months has kind of forced people to change, which isn't a bad thing, I guess. It's just now about making sure that any of those decisions that were made maybe might have been knee-jerk reactions, dare I say it. That's where, okay, we've now realised we can actually do this, we want to do it better. And that's where hopefully I can step in to add some value as well.
Yeah, I mean, at the start, I think we all made those sort of slightly knee-jerk reactions, didn't we? We all sort of, we all thought, it's really difficult, isn't it, trying to look ahead when things are happening so quickly and changing on a daily basis. So you did things back at the start, which now it doesn't seem appropriate. But it's difficult. So, I mean, has your business plan sort of changed from when you first started, wanted to actually launch the business? With the pandemic and lockdown, has your actual business plan changed and what you're going to do now?
It's been changing, I think, every week.
Sorry, Donna,
Yeah.
is your Facebook, have you got this Facebook on in the background there? Is the
No.
microphone? That's really strange. No, it's definitely a sort of bit of a Dalek-y bit going on. Sorry, carry on.
No, I've got nothing on here at all, everything, and everything sounds clear and crisp at my end, so I don't know.
We'll carry on anyway, we'll work through it.
Yes. So yeah, from my point of view, yeah, it's changing on a daily, weekly basis, because obviously reacting to the changes that are going on, we've all had delivered to us on a week or 2 weekly basis. So yeah, I think it's been good because it's allowed me to pull a proper value proposition together. Where now I've got a real clear idea of how I can assist, and I've built my strategic partners in a way that I think is different to what I thought at first. I think at first it was very much, you know what, I can be the trusted advisor, and then someone has a requirement and I'll just go off and I'll find someone to fulfill that. And which would still work, and that's how a lot of consultants do work, which is fine. But it's made me sort of go, well, no, actually, I need to make that more strategic. I need to know who my partners are. I don't want to be going and having price wars with people. The client can do that themselves. I want strategic partnerships where I can always go back to a client with probably 2 to 3 at the most best of breed options. And then they can take their decision thereafter as to how they want to move that forward. And in some cases, I might deal with it all myself as a project manager. In other cases, it may be just an introduction and I hand them over, particularly if there's a real kind of expertise that I need someone to put into place. Then I'll probably kind of hand it over but continue to manage that relationship.
Yeah, so has the vision sort of changed, was it, for the business, what he's sort of aiming at, sort of like?
Yeah, I think at first I was getting a little bit too sector, concerned, hung up on that, and I think we're all guilty of that in the sales world. But let's look at verticals, let's look at this, and let's look at that. And I think when you start to peel back, you start to realise that it doesn't. Yeah, obviously it's great to understand how to do that, and that's something you should always do. But in terms of each business, they've all got very similar business challenges. They've all got accounts departments, they've all got HR departments potentially, they've all got finance departments, so on and so forth, IT departments. And irrespective of that vertical, they're all facing very similar challenges. So I've kind of taken a step back on that and not getting so hung up on verticals and looking more at business processes, business departments, and working on those as opposed to targeting a certain sector because I feel that I can improve something based on their industry. Yeah, so that vision has changed because to start with, I was just looking at where I've worked before, where there's good stories to share, and then that's kind of very much changed. Because the people that have actually approached me in this time, bearing in mind my website's not even live yet, and it's great that almost pre-launch I've got some opportunities that I'm working on, but those people that have come to me would have sat way outside of the verticals I was looking at. That opened my eyes to realise there's lots more out there.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every business has pretty similar problems. I mean, they may sell different products and services and things, but it's all about quite often have those same problems and those same pain points within the business. Yeah, definitely. So with marketing, what sort of marketing's really works for you on the route to business or route to market? It's obviously the website's not even up yet. We've still got business coming in, so yes, you must have a great reputation already.
Thanks for that, Ronan. But it's obviously for me, I still think that, and I'll go back to all the time networking. I mean, I think prior to all of this, I was doing a lot of activity, particularly up in London, as the weather was improving slightly, so there were lots of nice parties to go to. But they're not just that, right? It's a great time to share best practice, to talk to other people and engage. I think from that, I've been quite lucky because I've then grown my network through that networking, and those people have introduced me onto others and so on and so forth. So that will always form a really strong part of anything I do. But I also think that now, I mean, when the website is live, every week I'm going to be sharing blogs, and on those blogs the topics are going to be varied. And they may even be related to, I'm not going to fill it hot up with lots of pre-written blogs because I don't see that's not the way I want to work. So a lot of mine will be based on that week. What's happened that week? Where am I? What's going on? Which strategic partner has something to say this week? And all that kind of stuff. So I think that's always a good thing. If you're sharing interesting information with your network that you've grown, people start to see you as that trusted advisor because they're interested in what you've got to say. So I won't be doing lots of pushing of I want the brand awareness there, obviously. and I will use social media as a platform for that to a degree. But I want to get my own podcast set up, as I've discussed with you before, and that I think will be a really good way of doing a little bit of marketing and brand awareness work as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about getting people to get to know you, isn't it? And all about what you stand for, and and helping them along the way, and then business tends to happen sort of naturally after that. If they know, like, and trust you, and they know that you're definitely the go-to person for that, they'll come to you. But so it's all about putting in that legwork to get started. Like I say, do lots of networking, which I think is vital for any small business to actually get out there, and be persistent. And I bet you're really persistent. You keep going, building those relationships.
Yeah, and it's great because I think if you go to a networking event, there are some people that are a little bit. I guess it's not just about being afraid of it, because I don't think any business person is necessarily afraid of those situations, but it's more about the misconceptions. Like I will say, no, they're not just let's all go and have a drink on a boat in London. The people that are there are very often C-level individuals that have taken time out of their business day to go and meet like-minded people. So yes, you will have the odd event you might go to where it's bordering on being a little bit of a jolly, but I guarantee you will walk away with some kind of with a new contact of some description. So I think people need to understand that, and a lot of the events in London do tend to be like a little bit more that way, where a lot of the Kent events do tend to be more kind of middle of the day, more knowledge sharing kind of seminars and stuff, which again are great, but sometimes a little harder to attend because of that time in the day as well to take out. But yeah, that would definitely be a message to people. I just think don't ever think that networking is as scary as it sometimes seems to be, because once you've done it and you get used to it, you realise that everyone's in it for the same reasons and everyone's there to help. And everyone wants to share best practice. And I think with the way the economic downturn, and sadly it is with what's been going on, I think there's still a massive pie there from a business point of view. It's just I think we've got to share the pieces a little bit more, which is something I was describing to a friend. Now if I can support another business similar to myself, and I am doing that, I'm working with other consultants that I've introduced myself to that can perhaps look at something I don't have a partner for yet, etc. It's a bit about sharing as much as we can to try and get that economy moving again in the best way that we can for everybody. So yeah, that's why I think it's a good time to be starting out as a consultant, because I've got a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting talking about competition and collaboration there. It's much easier to collaborate than be in competition with everybody and have to worry about what everyone else is doing. And it's one of the things I say to people is have a conversation with your competitors. Have talk to each other, because chances are you're not doing exactly the same thing. And there may be some. It's best to actually have a conversation with them and have a relationship there with your competitors, rather than never speaking to them and thinking they're these evil people that down the road do the same thing as you. We've got to run to cut them on price all the time. Yes. So I always say that to people: have that conversation, because you never know. There could be some synergy there where you can pass work to and from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. That's always the bit, is it? Know your competition. And I think many moons ago, it was exactly as you just described. It was know them and beat them. Whereas now, it's not that at all. It's know them, understand them, work with them. And I think just makes you a stronger force then if you can do that.
Definitely.
So yeah.
So you've only just started. So what's the future hold for RDS Business Management? Have you got a grand plan in your head, or is it still sort of
to be a millionaire and go and live on a beach? No. Apart from that, no. I think for me at the moment it's great. So I've got three secured strategic partners now, where we've signed official agreements. One of those is a technology known as Procore, which is a project management platform for the construction industry. So that's kind of very much its own vertical. But it gives me a solid partnership there to work with them as a consultant. The other one is Informatrix, which is what I talk about with the data management platform and lots of bespoke working that they can do. And then outside of that, I also have 2 or 3 collective kind of managed services providers that can assist clients as well, because a lot of people are looking at reviewing contracts and stuff now because people aren't in offices and haven't been for some time. So there's lots of that. So for me, it's about, I want to grow that network, absolutely. And I think the main thing to me is, and a couple of the projects I'm already working on, which I can't share too much about, are really exciting because they will completely change the way these organisations work for the better. And that's the bit I like. That's the bit where you can witness that happening, be a part of that. And then thereafter work as a partner for other bits and pieces that come off the back of that with that same client. So really, I think the vision for me is just to be getting the message out there as much as I can, and to make sure that I'm sharing best practice with as many people as I can, working on as many diverse projects as I can as well. I don't want to get stuck in that rut of just replicating what's worked previously, because there's lots of other exciting things to explore. So yeah, and then the beach and the millionaire. So that's that was lying that I didn't think that, because that is but it is just about getting and having the flexibility. For me, it's very much about work-life balance. And having worked in central London, there's a lot of getting up at 6 a.m. and getting home at 8 o'clock at night, all of those bits and pieces. I'm at that point now where I just want that flexibility to be able to travel, obviously up to Scotland as and when I need to, where my partner is, and just do what I need to do as and when I need to do it, but obviously still be able to get as much out of a working day as I can.
Millionaire bit will come. That's it. You're working hard. That's it. That'll come with it. It seems like really sort of your services you offer, you sort of really take the pain out of it for business owners. You do all the stuff that a lot of small business or business owners in general don't want to do. And do you know what? They want to concentrate on what they do really well. They got a product or service, whatever they're doing. They need to concentrate on that. And you can actually take over and do the bit in the background, the painful part. So you can really take over that and actually take that away from them, can't you?
Yeah, and there's even, as part of what we're doing now, looking at the, because I think, although it's again, it's sad times, businesses are going to be operating differently, and the new working normal is unknown to all of us. We don't know what that's going to look like. And when it does come in, is it going to stay that way, and how long for? So companies are obviously looking at their overheads, and within that comes potentially sales and marketing, which may seem silly because obviously you need that for your business to grow, but 9 times out of 10, that is one hell of an overhead. So there are other ways of doing that. So even looking at maybe supporting businesses with an external sales management process, looking at sales and marketing strategies, almost having kind of an external sales director, if you like, that isn't that huge overhead that you have. So I have contacts that I'm looking at doing some work around that with. Even remote management of potential remote salespeople that are now working from home, particularly in a telesales potential environment where they're used to having that buzz around, and that's going to be a real change to some of those people. So about looking at the strategy of keeping those people happy, keeping them productive, without bringing in extra resources, and perhaps using an external consultant like myself to look at best ways of managing those teams as well. So there's lots of bits, which is, and it is just about any business problem, real business solutions for real business problems, whatever they might look like.
Yeah, okay. So what makes you sort of unique to your approach?
So I guess because everyone thinks that their USP is like the best, I think mine just comes back to what I said at the start, where for me, my background is all around being people-centric. So I'm not suggesting for any second that other consultants like myself aren't people-centric. But for me, I think my approach is very much about building that trusted advisor relationship. As I say, I'm completely agnostic in what I offer. I have a holistic agnostic approach. That's how I look at it. And through my network, I've got some incredible experience and people that are willing to support and help me, which is great as well, that can then be passed down to clients as well. And I think the other bit is a consultancy, and I'm not going to say my services are free because I won't get to that beach, but obviously there's ways now of reacting to the marketplace. And I think to now be offering people consultancy, despite how much knowledge and experience you have, at a cost, is maybe something that people aren't going to look at the moment. But the way I manage my business is that I have agreements with the suppliers. So the client is not going to be having to pay me a fee unless I'm getting involved in lots of project work, obviously, and that would be a slightly different thing. But in terms of finders, fees, etc., and the suppliers that I'm partnering with are giving me their best available rates because I'm acting as a salesperson for them. So it's win-win for the supplier, for the client, best price for the client, and obviously then for the suppliers, having someone out there promoting their products. So yeah, that's quite a unique model, because having looked at other consultancies, they tend to work slightly differently. I would say that's the bit I pride myself on, is the way that I set the model up in the background.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Donna. Well, thank you very much. Just coming to the end now. Thank you very much for joining us. So your website's not quite ready yet, but hopefully launching very shortly.
Yeah, I have a meeting tomorrow, so fingers crossed.
Okay.
Pretty much there.
And people can connect to you on LinkedIn?
Yes, they can. At the moment, again, I've not launched all the branding and stuff as yet, but that will happen when the website goes live. They can still reach me on LinkedIn, obviously just type my name, because there's only one of me, which is great. So
that's good, isn't it?
yeah. The more, and if anyone wants to kind of drop me a note to see if there's anything I can do for them, and again, it doesn't matter the size of that. Nothing's too small, nothing's too large. Worth a conversation to see if I can offer any assistance.
Absolutely. I mean, you cover lots of different things, print, hardware, software, like we was talking about, fire and safety, security, furniture. So basically all those things that people hate doing in the business, you cover those, don't you? And you don't have to employ somebody else to do it. You can in the business. Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much, Donna. Thank you very much for joining us on Lunch and Learn. And good luck with everything. Looking forward to seeing your website, and yes, I hope to see you on that beach sometime soon. And
Exactly.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, stop streaming now and see everybody later. Thank you.
Bye.